And here we are downtown at Yoga Vista Studio in Vista, California. And we are going to talk about our backs, kind of an owner's manual for a back. And I still am annoyed, I have trouble letting go of things, that as a kid, we're not really pulled aside and told how to take care of ourselves, how to take care of our backs, body mechanics, that sort. Maybe you guys were, but I wasn't. And then I got into horseback riding. I'm going to blame less of my back problems on that and a lot more of it on basketball and weightlifting and my brother. Because we'd wrestle and yeah. I always had the belief that athletes were healthy, and I've realized that that's a load of crap. Athletes are the ones that drive their cars really rough. Only the car's our body. And as I'm aging, which beats the alternative, I'm realizing some of the injuries have never left. They've always been kind of a constant companion. And then some of them you forget about, and then as you hit 40, 45, each day, you're like, oh, I remember that. Like I still have a bone bruise from getting body slammed literally in a basketball practice. And it's still, like I can't do shoulder stand without it causing pain. And that was, I'm gonna say, I'm not dating myself here, but it was probably 25 years ago. So as we move through life, we need to take care of our bodies, work with the biomechanics of movement, and keep the tissues healthy. Easier said than done. So as I look around the room, I think pretty much most of us in here are yogis. To some degree or another, have a yoga practice. And I would like to say that I specialize in back care because I'm brilliant, but I specialize in back care because I'm broken. So I've had a lot of injuries, and when I started yoga, I was much younger and thought I could do everything. I can do these wild back bends and all this stuff, and I did to a certain degree. And what I was doing was hurting myself more. Not the teacher's fault, not even necessarily my fault, because I didn't know what was going on, and kind of my fault because I'd push through and do stuff that caused pain and didn't really understand why it was causing pain. But I always tell people yoga can cure or heal, or yoga can really mess you up. It's the proper application and knowing your body and what works best. I was looking in the Yoga Vista Academy emails the other day, and someone had written in on a project where they had watched a bunch of classes and taken notes on the teachers. And their comment on me was that I'm constantly telling people to take care of themselves for where they are that day. And to me, that's a huge compliment, because I never want someone to feel like someone comes out of a pose and you glance over and then they rush back into it. And I'm like, okay, that's really a recipe to get hurt. And I hope I'm not that mean that you better think that you're in that pose till, I say you can come out. So learning in your own practice and in your own body is huge. And nobody knows your body better than you, including the best yoga teacher on the planet, the best orthopedic surgeon on the planet. Nobody knows your nervous system the way you do, your musculature the way you do, because you live in there. So that's my number one thing when I'm working with practices. It's like I might tell someone, this is the number one thing for back care, and it hurts them. I'm not going to argue with them to keep doing it because I don't want to hurt them more. So it's really empowering yourself to know what's going on in your body and to have the fortitude to say no, and no means no if a movement doesn't feel good. And then I'm going to confess that I'm coming off a week of kind of mandatory rest. I got voluntold to take a week off because my back, I injured it more so than normal somehow in July, and it was getting worse, and I went and got it fixed. I got a session, the lumbar vertebra were being pulled, the fascia was pulling everything towards the back of my body, and then the lumbar vertebra were being pulled to the right. And an osteopath put that back in for me, but it was still very unstable. And I continued to teach, and I continued to do everything, la 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 la, and it wasn't getting better. And you can, maybe on video it doesn't come through. Yeah, it must come through. I'm pretty big. I'm 6'3", pretty big muscles, pretty big everything. except for my spinal canal. Really? So I have spinal stenosis, which is where there's two kinds. There's central canal stenosis, where the bone starts to grow in around the spinal cord, or foraminal, where the nerve roots exit the spinal cord, they get compressed, where the foramen starts to get, stenosis is another word for osteoarthritis, it's just where it is. So I have nerve compression pretty much all the way through there, and I think what I did was bruise the hell out of my spinal cord, and the inflammation will not go away. Inflammation makes things bigger, and I already have a small container, so it's just been perilous, to say the least. And it's been a good teacher and a good lesson, and I'm starting to put things together. But what I found was my usual go-to was not working. I was Vinny yogiing the hell out of it. And at a certain point, what you always do might not work because you always do it. And so Roland Matthews, who's a Feldenkrais practitioner, I did some work with him that really freed stuff up. I've been doing cranial sacral treatments. I've been trying anything and everything to try and make it a little bit better. And as I look around the room, some of you can relate because I know your backs. I studied a lot. I learned, the biomechanics of the body. I learned anatomy. I learned yoga therapy, blah, 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 blah. All very good information. But really where I got most of my knowledge of the low back is from here. Knowing, people will look at me like I'll tell them, don't do that because it might, especially if they have stenosis. I'm like, I can tell a mile away, that will hurt you. Just saying, so learn from my mistake rather than doing it yourself. And I wish I was a better learner or a quicker learner, because I'll often think, oh, I'm so much better, and then I'm not. And you just kind of take 3 steps back. So today I wanted this class to be about your back and owner's manual. And personally, I think everyone should clap for what a cute picture it was of the little boy being held back by the dog. I love it, yeah. So I want to open this up. Now I know we have some recent spinal disc herniations. We have some owies going on in low back and hips. We have some ongoing maintenance issues. So I want to make this relevant to who's in the room. So feel free to pop up with questions and comments and that sort of thing. And how I had kind of intended this was, we all come, you do your yoga practice at home, at a studio, whatever, your stretches, whatever you want to call it. You do that as your maintenance. But then what about day-to-day life? What could possibly be aggravating you in day-to-day life? And I'm going to go with quite a bit of things. So one thing I've noticed, the other thing, and this whole aging thing is really fascinating. So I never used to feel asymmetry between each side of my body. Now I never don't feel asymmetry between each side of my body. One side is 20 times tighter than the other. The most recent session I had was to unblock 2 ribs that weren't moving because they were so, the muscle between them was spasming. And I felt it for months where I have a pull and I'm thinking, oh, well, I'm just aging. No, my fascia was being pulled out of whack because I fractured this rib last Christmas. Those are the gifts that keep on giving, So really learning to catch something in the bud and work with it. Or, as someone said to me, at a certain point you don't get back to normal. It's how do you deal with your condition? So we want to move in the direction of positive change, but sometimes we're not going to have that body we had when we were 20, when, hangovers were 20 minutes and then you were fine, Damn, yeah. I read that somewhere. I don't know, yeah.